Hello students, welcome to our first online session on strategic management. And I hope all of you are staying at home and are staying safe. Now having a look at our topic here. I have completed Unit 2 in the class. But however, there are some topics from Unit 2 which have to be revised again from your examination point of view. So that is the reason why I'm focusing on those topics here. See, have a look at the first topic relating to Unit 2. So Unit 2, all of you must be knowing that the chapter name is Environmental Appraisal. In environmental, so mainly some of the topics which we have to focus on from Unit 2 are value chain analysis. Another topic which we need to focus on is what are the various environmental forces which affect the organization. That part almost in detail I have covered it in the class. But anyway, a small revision will be done on that as well. A third topic which will be covered relating to environmental analysis is the goals of environmental analysis and the importance of environmental analysis. Okay, so here there are around 3 to 4 topics which we just have to go through so that we are quite thorough with it from our exams point of view. So have a look at this topic regarding what you understand by the term business environment. So business environment is nothing but it is a sum total or collection of all the internal and external factors which are affecting the company. When I'm speaking about internal factors, those are it is those factors which the company has control over. External factors, on the other hand, are those factors which the company does not have control over. External factors can again come under two broad categories. It can be the macroeconomic external factors. Macroeconomic external factors are those which the company does not have control over, and it's not only the company, it is every other company in the industry does not have control over. It's affecting all companies of the industry or affecting the entire economy as a whole. So this is an external macroeconomic factor. Now, there is another category of external factors, which is the external microeconomic factors. So these are those factors which are somewhere connected to the company itself. Other companies are not involved with this. So it is connected to the company, but still the company does not have control over them. So we will see what are internal factors, external macroeconomic factors, external microeconomic factors in another couple of slides. So some of the factors which affect the business environment. When I'm speaking about external factors, it could be the political environment, it could be changes in government regulations affecting the way in which the company operates. There might be changes in technology which is affecting the way in which the company has to change its processes, the company has to revamp its operations, the company might have to provide extra training to the employees to update them with the newest technology. So this is some of the ways in which a technological environment can bring about changes within the company. And of course, you have the socio-cultural environment, the economic environment. So on a broad basis, these are some of the factors which can affect the company. We will look about how external and internal factors affect in a few more slides from now. So if you look at the importance of business, to be more specific, what is the importance of business environment? And scanning this business environment, keeping a lookout for this business environment. Why is it that companies have to always keep a lookout for the business environment and keep continuously scanning the environment? We will just have a look at. The first point is given here. It's to determine the opportunities and threats. So the interaction between the business and the environment would help the business in identifying opportunities and helps the business to ward off threats. And it helps the business to meet challenges successfully. See, opportunities arise because of the interaction of the business with the external environment. Opportunities and threats both are components of the results of the external environment which can impact your business. So if you do proper scanning, you'll be in a better position to exploit opportunities and you'll be in a better position to ward off threats. Have a look at the second point here, giving direction for growth. So the interaction with the environment leads to opening up of new frontiers for growth for the business, enables the business to identify areas for growth and expansion. The company, if it scans the environment properly, it will be able to identify some geographical areas which are not served. So it can tap that geographical area and it can serve its product to that particular geographical area. If it properly scans the environment, the company can probably come across a new customer need which has never been satisfied by any of the companies till now. So it can probably come up with a new business idea to satisfy the customer's needs. I'll give you one small example here. Now, a certain person would have properly scanned the environment, would have understood the pattern of income earning among families. So this person would have understood that nowadays, many of the families are dual income families. So it is both the husband and wife who go for a job and they keep working from Monday till Friday, maybe even Saturday. And the timings of the work are also quite hectic these days. The timings of the work, it's not like a normal 9 to 5 job how it used to be in the previous days. Nowadays, if you're going to office in the morning, you're coming back home only by 7 or 8 in the evening. This is what is the situation is happening. Thereby, none of the spouses, be it the husband or the wife, is not having time to go for shopping. Now, this trend has been observed by someone. Even on a Saturday or a Sunday, they probably prefer to relax rather than simply going out and simply spending time in shopping. So this trend has probably been observed by somebody. That is the reason why they had come up with the idea of starting an online business which is delivering groceries to these families. Companies like Big Basket, Grofers, all these things have taken shape by identifying this change in the socio-economic, socio-cultural scenario of the families in India. So this is the way in which, because of proper scanning, it has paved way for an opportunity for growth and establishing an altogether new business idea and a business model. Okay, so this is the way in which scanning the environment properly will give your company a direction for growth. Have a look at the third point here. It paves way for continuous learning. So environmental analysis makes the task of managers easier in dealing with business challenges. So because the managers know that the environment is constantly changing out there, they keep improving themselves also. They continuously keep updating their knowledge. They continuously keep following the news. They continuously keep updating their skills and understanding and predicting changes that are happening outside. So this point is basically more important from the perspective of your personal development. Have a look at the fourth point here, image building. So the company environmental understanding helps business organizations in improving their image by showing their sensitivity towards the environment within which they are working. This gives a chance for companies to showcase their corporate social responsibility attitude to the society. Now, one example has been given here. In view of the shortage of power, companies have scanned the environment and has understood that there is a lot of power shortages. The state is not having sufficient capacity to supply enough of electricity to the families and the households which are there in that state. So understanding this, the company has understood already there is electricity shortage. Now, on top of that electricity shortage, to run my industry, to run my factories, to run my offices, if I consume too much of power, there will not be much power left to channelize it towards the families and the households. So understanding this problem in the social environment, the companies have, some companies might have decided to set up captive power plants. So captive power plants is nothing but a facility from which electricity and energy is generated and directed towards a single consumer, in which case it is the company. So they would have established some kind of facility from which they are independently taking electricity. It is not, they are not taking the electricity which is supplied by the state. So they are making their own independent arrangement for their electricity. In fact, situations can arise where in case they end up generating too much electricity, more than their consumption, that excess electricity they can always channelize towards the state grid lines, which can be supplied to households. So this is one way in which corporate social responsibility initiatives can be showcased. There are other companies also. You can take an example of GlaxoSmithKline, which conducts free medical camps for areas which are of remote location. So obviously these places, they have understood, does not have access to proper medical facilities. So they might as well initiate a CSR activity where they are conducting free medical camps. Then there are situations where companies have constructed public restrooms, understanding the fact that there are not sufficient restrooms in the state. There are companies which have indulged in CSR activities of planting many trees because they feel that their company might be consuming a certain number of trees, which is ultimately going to affect the environment. So they might as well give back to the natural environment by planting trees and undoing whatever damage they might have done. So these are all ways in which company can build up their image and in the eyes of the public. If the company builds up image in the eyes of the public, it's going to benefit the company in every way. People will be happy and people will be trusting the company. They may end up purchasing their products. Employees will be very happy to work for such companies. And some companies will also find it easy to get government approvals easily. Such kind of companies will be able to easily seal deals with suppliers and distributors. So there are several ways in which image building can help the company, and image building is possible only with proper environmental appraisal. Have a look at the fifth point here. It helps in meeting competition. Only if you know what your competitors' strategies are, you will be able to frame your strategies. Based on your competitors' pricing, based on your competitors' promotional strategies, you will be able to alter your pricing methods and your promotional strategies. Then have a look at the sixth point here, identifying the firm's strengths or weaknesses. Okay, so this has already been mentioned more or less in the first point. See, first point spoke to you about opportunities and threats. The sixth point is speaking about strength and weaknesses. This is a component which is a byproduct of analyzing the internal environment. Opportunities and threats is a byproduct of analyzing the external environment. Have a look at the next slide here. What are the goals of business environment, or what are the goals of business environmental scanning? We can take it in either way. First point here is knowledge of existing environment. So only in case you conduct proper environmental analysis, you will be able to forecast what changes are happening out there in the external environment, according to which you can change the way in which your company's strategies are also changing. And it helps in decision making. Only if you predict the changes in the external environment, your company will be able to make decisions on pricing, on the promotion. It will be able to make decisions on what type of add-on features can I add to my products, what kind of innovation should I introduce in my products. All these decisions can be made. It will help you in making decisions regarding arranging for extra finances, arranging for extra facilities. So all these are additional decisions which the company, arranging for extra human resources to work with your company. All these things are decisions which come as a result of scanning the environment appropriately. Framing of policies. So policies are basically guidelines which helps the company in carrying out its day-to-day or long-term activities. So it helps the company to frame such guidelines based on which the company's activities are taking place. Technological planning. So the advantage of technological, so based on the environment, the company can revamp its technology as well. Advantage of technology is it can serve two benefits. The first benefit, what it serves is, in case technology improves, companies' costs will reduce. In case technology improves, companies will be able to produce products of better value, of better quality. So better quality products and lower costs are the advantageous results that come out from updating your technology. Finally, you have this point called as survival. Now, as I had already told you, our competitive environment works on the basis of survival of the fittest. You need to continuously keep innovating. You need to continuously keep yourself adjusting to the changes what are happening outside. If you do not continuously innovate, if you do not continuously change according to the external environment, you will be left behind. Your competitors will step over you and they will grow. So this should be avoided. So continuously monitoring the environment, continuously looking at competitors' moves, all these things gives you an opportunity to stay in the business. And not only that, you need to look at the economic factor also outside. See, take an example of the current corona crisis itself. Many of the startups or many of the small companies will actually shut shop. They will go out of business because of what crisis has hit them now. Some companies might have seen what problem was there in China. They might have estimated that from China, the virus is eventually going to spread across the globe. Accordingly, they might have made arrangements. So such companies which have been proactive will end up surviving and will end up coming out of this crisis in a successful manner. Those companies which did not anticipate these changes which are likely to occur are going to take the back seat. So what do we understand by environmental scanning? Environmental scanning is the process of gathering information about events and the relationship within which an organization's internal and external environments are affected. So you're gathering information, to put it in a nutshell, you're gathering information relating to your external and internal environment. This is environmental scanning. And using that information, you're making the best use and you're trying to exploit opportunities and word of threats. See, external environment here, as I had told you in the first slide, it is comprising of two components. One of the components, what it comprises of is the macroeconomic environment, which company, see, external environment itself is something which the company does not have control over. Macroeconomic forces are those forces which affects the entire country. So you have the economic environment, socio-cultural, technological, the physical, ecological, I'm talking about the natural environment here. Then the political or the legal environment. Micro environment are those factors which company does not have much control over, but it is something which is specific to the company. These are not things which are going to affect the entire country, or these are not elements which are going to affect your competitors. It may not even affect your competitors. So they are more company specific, but it's external. It's outside the company's purview, which the company may not able to have exercise much control over. So who are the components of the micro environment? It's the customers, competitors, distributors, and suppliers. All these details have already been explained to you in the class. So I will not be going too much into these aspects. Again, a repetition of what is the macroeconomic environment comprising of. And the micro environment, these are the components which forms a part of micro environment. So macro and micro has been explained in detail in the class. I'll not go through it again. Have a look at this is something which I may not have explained in the class, for which I think we need to allocate time here. So the internal environment. Internal environment comprises of four components: the company, the resources, strategic capabilities, and the core competencies. So the company is comprises itself of several components. First one is the mission, vision, and the objectives. Mission is, it's a statement which says, what is the company? What is the business of the company? Why is the company here? So what is the purpose of the company and what is the business of the company is what is mentioned in the mission statements. What are the products that the company produces? Who are the company's customers? All these things comes as what are the company's values? All these things comes under the perspective of mission and objectives. Management structure and nature. What kind of a management structure? What is the nature of the management? What is the way in which, so structure ultimately decides several issues. Based on the structure, we can determine whether communication is flowing smoothly within the company or not. For a company which is having a good communication network, which is having a more open structure, for such companies, they are more adaptable to changes and they can roll out products much more quickly than other companies. And have a look at the third point, internal power relationship. It depends upon how power is concentrated in the company. It probably depends upon the shareholding pattern. Now, supposing there are a few groups, or there is just one or two groups who's holding majority of the shares of the company. Majority of the shares of the company are held by the, let's say, the board of directors, or majority of the shares of the company is held by a small group. The remaining shares are distributed among small people. Obviously, the group who's holding majority of the shares is going to be more in power when it comes to the decision making. So when a single person or a few groups are having majority of power, decision making may also come out quickly, because power is vested in only in few hands. Whenever decision has to be made amongst themselves, they will discuss amongst themselves and they will come to a conclusion, and they will accordingly make the decisions. However, in a situation where the power is distributed among many hands, there are many people who have to be whom we will have to be employees have to be reporting to. In such a case, decision making also slows down. So when power is distributed among many people, many of them put together in order to make a decision have to come to a consensus, which is going to be a time consuming process, because they have to discuss with so many people and they have to get approvals and sanctions from so many people. So because of this, decision making might also get stalled. So the way in which the company is arranged, the structure in which the company is operating, the way in which communication systems are flowing within the company, the way in which power is concentrated determines how well decisions are going to be taken and how quickly decisions are going to be implemented. And company image and brand equity. So obviously, company image, it refers to the goodwill of the company. And as we had discussed in corporate social responsibility in the previous slide, undertaking good CSR activities is one way of enhancing the company image. Providing good quality products, rising to a big position within a very short time. All these things are all contributors towards enhancing a company's image. Brand equity. What we understand by brand equity is, for a company's brand, how much extra cash is the customer willing to pay. For example, supposing we are having HP laptops here. HP laptops, we can easily pay anywhere between 20 to 30,000. On the other hand, let us say I am a company who has started off a laptop and I have branded the name as Sindhuja. So I'm selling Sindhuja laptops. Obviously, there is nobody knows about my company. I'm a small company. I do not own a big brand over here. Obviously, people may not be willing to pay 35 or 40 or 45. They'll probably be willing to pay only somewhere around 10 or 12,000 for my laptop. Or they may not even purchase my laptop also, thinking that the laptop may not be of functional quality. So this is the way in which the company image, and this is the way in which brand equity helps out. Because of the presence of the brand, how much extra money, which is more than the value of the product, are people willing to pay. To produce the laptop, we will probably be spending only 15,000, but these laptops are being sold for 40,000. That 40,000 minus 15,000, the extra 25,000 is what is the brand equity value here. Strategic capabilities can be categorized into 4 categories here. Financial capabilities. If the company, how easily is the company able to acquire finances, borrow loans at low rates of interest? Big companies with good reputation will be able to borrow loans at lower rates of interest. Supposing I have started off a company and I want to borrow loan, definitely the rate of interest that the bank will be charging from me will be quite high, because I'm not a known person in the industry. Whereas on the other hand, supposing a company like HUL wants to expand operations, wants to take up a bank loan, definitely they'll be able to take up a loan at much more lower rates of interests. Marketing capabilities. How well is the marketing mix of the company designed? How well a product is it able to produce? How well is it able to make its pricing decisions? How are its distribution channels operating? How well is it able to knit relationships with its suppliers? How well is it carrying out its promotional activities, its marketing communication strategy? How well is it doing all these things? All these put together comprises the marketing capabilities of the company. Then you have operations capability. Operations speaks about the way in which the business process of the company works. How are the different tasks arranged within the company, such that your time taken to complete a project, or time taken to deliver a service, or time taken to roll out a product into the market is reducing as far as possible. For example, if you see, when I'm talking about fast food restaurants, like established fast food restaurants like McDonald's, KFC, and all these places have an established way in which work process should flow. Because of that established way, the time which is taken by these companies to service their customer orders is also relatively less compared to what a new fast food outlet might be facing. Then personal capability. What skill levels is the company able to acquire? What kind of quality of human resources is the company able to acquire? How well is the company able to motivate its employees and retain its employees? So all these things, what good training programs, what good career development, and other HR development programs is the company implementing. All these things makes a difference on how the company ultimately performs. Again, brand image comes to the picture here. Companies which are having a good corporate image, they need not even advertise for positions. People will come seeking the company for positions. The company in their websites, that career openings and the career options is posted on their websites. Many people will be flooding those portals with their resumes, willing to come forward and work for the company. Resources. Resources can be categorized as the physical assets or facilities, the financial assets, intellectual assets, and the R&D and technological capabilities what the company is having. Physical assets, how much of property does the company have? Okay, this is what is physical assets. Now, I can give you some instances here. See, companies like Tesco, even McDonald's for that matter, they literally have something called as site banks. They keep purchasing empty plots of land. Especially, there may be instances where, supposing there is an outlet which the company is owning, maybe not McDonald's or Tesco. Supposing you are a company who is having your own office in one place. Now, you're noticing some empty plots of land close by. Or let us say, for example, you're a college, you're an institution which is running a college. Okay, so there may be some empty plots of land close by. Supposing another person buys that plot of land and constructs a college, you're having direct competition from that other person. So you want to rebuff this competition. So what you do is, all those empty plots of land which are there close to your college, you're purchasing and you're pocketing all those. So you're locking up those plots of land so that another competitor does not come and construct there and ultimately pose a direct competition to your institution. So offices can also adopt this strategy. Fast food outlets, restaurants, many companies can also adopt this strategy here. So there are cases where they are owning the physical assets. There are cases where there is one company known as De Beers. Okay, it's a diamond company, diamond mining company. Long back, now it has been distributed. It's a little scattered now. But initially, there was a time where they were owning 90% of the diamond mines of the world. So you can imagine how much control they are having over these assets. Tata Steel, normally they prefer to own the mines from which Tata Steel is extracting. It's extracting bauxite and ultimately make aluminium ores and steel, iron and steel, and all those things. So this is one way in which having control over your assets is one way of starving off competition. If Tata Steel is owning their mines from which steel can be made, obviously a competitor will not be able to mine from there. So you're cutting down the competitor's operations by owning many of your mines. So these are ways in which physical assets and facilities can help out your company strategically. Financial assets. So financial assets speaks about the company's cash reserves. It speaks about investments which the company might have made with other companies' shares. So if those outside companies grow, your company's assets are also going to grow, and it'll be a benefit for us. Intellectual assets speaks about patents. It speaks about the company's brand. It speaks about intellectual property. You have come up with a new technology and you have patented that technology. For the next 20 years, nobody can copy you. So this is the way in which companies can make use of their patents and can gain an advantage over your competitors. So Xerox is one example over here. When Xerox had come up with their copy machines, they had a patent for almost 20 years. For those 20 years, nobody could put them out of their position. But once those patents expired, there were other companies such as Canon, Fuji, all these people took over, and it displaced Xerox a little out of business. Then you have R&D and technological capabilities. Uh, what is the pace at which your company is able to roll out new products? I'll give you one small example here. See, Apple's iPod, due to good R&D facilities, Apple's iPod was created. But however, after the iPod was created, Apple eventually came out with other products. Because of good R&D capabilities, they came up with other products such as the iPad and iPhone. The reason why these iPad and iPhone were introduced was because there were other smartphone companies which were coming up, which were posing a threat to Apple's iPod. See, Apple's iPod was a revolution in terms of listening to music compared to Sony's Walkman. But however, this revolution was under threat because there were other smartphone companies which were manufacturing mobile phones from which you could listen to music in and you could store thousands of songs, and you could quickly scroll through those songs also. All these facilities were coming even in smartphones. So in order to protect their iPod and to protect the brand image of the iPod, Apple rolled out iPad and iPhones and managed to protect their brand here. Core competency. So another component of the internal environment which influences a company's strategies are core competencies. What are core competency? It is those capabilities and the competency that the organization has. Using these capabilities, the organization is able to outperform their competitors and have an advantage in the marketplace. See, these competencies can be anything. It can probably be the pace at which you are able to roll out new products into the market. It can be the excellent innovative capabilities what your employees are exhibiting. It can be a new technology what your company might have invested in. Your core competency can be the way in which you are able to seal good networks with suppliers, the way in which you are taking control over distributors, the way in which you are having control over a large market segment of customers. Okay, a large group of customers, a good brand name of your company. All these things can be core competency. All these aspects, what I had just mentioned now, good technology, having a good customer base, having good network with supplier and distributor, all these things are advantages using which you can outperform your competitors. Moving on to another topic, which is again quite important from your exams point of view, you have something known as value chain analysis. So what do you understand by the term value chain? A set of interlinked value creating activities that the organization performs. What are those value creating? So all the activities which is creating value, and these activities are all linked together. This is what is known as value chain. Value chain analysis is you're trying to understand each activity. You're trying to analyze each activity and find out which activity is contributing to more costs and which activities are adding value. So if you identify some activities which are contributing to more costs, you may have to revamp on those activities and bring down your costs. You identify some activities which are adding value, you will have to again improve on those activities so that you can add more value to you can utilize those activities so that you can add more value to your company. What are those activities? I will just tell you. So here are the activities. So value chain, which was again proposed by an economist called as Michael Porter. So how do these activities take shape exactly? You have two types of activities. These activities connected adds value to your company. So you have primary activities and support activities. So the activities which you're seeing in the form of columns here, inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and service. All these activities forms a part of primary activities. So what do you understand by primary activities? Those activities which are directly connected to your company producing or marketing your product. those activities directly connected to your company rendering a service. All these things are primary activities. What do we understand by support activities? Those activities which are helping in the proper functioning of primary activities. So you have infrastructure, human resources, the ones which are in the form of rows on top. Infrastructure, human resource management, technology development, and procurement. All these things form a part of secondary activities or support activities. So what do you, having a look at each of these components in a very brief fashion, what do you understand by inbound logistics? Inbound logistics refers to the route with which, the way in which raw material moves from the suppliers to your factory for the purpose of production. So when it is moving from the supplier's place to your factory, it might move through a certain warehouse, it will be moving through certain transport companies, or it will be transported by some vehicles. All these things are forming a part of inbound logistics. Operations. What is the way in which raw material is getting processed into a semi-finished or a finally finished goods? Outbound logistics. What is the way in which the finally finished products are finding its way to the final customers? So from the position of a finished product, it moves on to the wholesalers, retailers, distributor network, and finally reaches the customers. So what route is this following? Then marketing and sales. I think this is understood. Service. Service, what after sales service is your company providing? After sales training given to the customers, which the companies might provide. There might be warranties, there might be insurance which the company might provide. All these things are examples of after sales service. So company will have to look at each of these activity. If they feel that in inbound logistics, a lot of time is taken for the raw material to move from the supplier's factory to my production house, I will have to look into the matter and I will have to revamp on the process. I might have to convince my supplier to shift somewhere close to my location, or I might have to look for alternative sources of suppliers who are staying closer to my location. I will have to see how I can cut down costs there. So this is just a small example. Now moving on to support activities, infrastructure. Infrastructure refers to how the building which the company might be owning, the furnitures which the company might be owning, the machinery which the company might be owning, the technologies which the company is having, the legal, the management network, the management structure which the company is operating under, the legal advice which the company is receiving in order to carry out its activities. All these things comes under infrastructure. Human resource management, again, it's understood. Activities involved in hiring employees. So human resource management, if you see, you might require to employ people in your operations department. You might require to employ people in the marketing and sales and the service department. So it's giving an example of how a support activity helps only if people are there in operations, only if people are there in marketing and sales, only if people are there in service, your production process and your distribution and sales process is all going to go smoothly. So this is the way in which support activity is facilitating the primary activities to go on in a smooth manner. So HR management speaks about hiring the candidates, training, selecting the candidates, training the candidates, evaluating their performance, compensating them, giving them rewards, continuously motivating them. Okay, so, giving them proper supervision. All these things comes under human resource management. Then technology development, again, so company has to keep revamping on its technology in order to improve the value of the products that it's producing or to reduce costs. Procurement. Procurement talks about the way in which company is acquiring raw materials for its activities. See, if the company is dependent on only one supplier, that supplier will know that the company is depending upon him. So he will start charging a higher price. Or there are times, in case the supplier's business, the supplier for some reason has cut down production, the supply of raw materials to my company is obviously going to get cut off. So thereby, companies, in order to avoid this mistake, has to maintain multiple sources of supplies and has to maintain relationship with multiple suppliers. And company and the supplier should be in they should be in connection, in connectivity with each other on a constant basis. I'll give you one small example here. See, one of Dell's advantage, one of the activities in Dell which adds value to Dell's activities is again the way in which procurement activities happens. Dell computers I'm talking about. So in order to make Dell computers, what do we require? We will be requiring a keyboard, we will be requiring a monitor, and you'll be requiring some component parts like your microprocessors or semiconductors. All these things are going to be required to assemble a computer. So what happens is, supposing a customer places an order with Dell, the same information which has automatically got updated in Dell's computer system, the same information, the same internet will also automatically update in the supplier system, that they are supposed to increase the production of keyboards. They are supposed to increase the production of monitors. So this information system, the way in which the suppliers and the company is connected with good information processing and information systems, will help Dell in quickly increasing the production as and when the customer demand increases for computers or laptops. So this is one way where procurement activity has been stepped up in order to add value to the company altogether. Okay, so with this, I can say we have completed this unit 2. Other parts of unit 2, I had already explained it in class. So what we had done today was more or less from your exam point of view. Very soon I shall be sharing the notes also pertaining to this, which you guys can access through Campus Technology. Thank you. Have a good day.